The history of the Tigers goes back all the way back to the unbroken forest. Many of the settlers had a few pots and pans, some flour, a couple of hens, milk cows, and two oxen pulling their wagons. There was nothing more that they could do but to get to work to set up their new homes. The first thing they had to find first was a river or a spring with water. In order for their new life to flourish, access to water would have to be an important item. For dinner, many of these settlers settled in with hard cakes made of flour and water that would be cooked in a frying pan over an open fire. The families would hunt for any wild animals that they could find, and wild fruit were plentiful for them to eat. The man whom Howard's Grove is named after is no more than a man by the name of Hugh B. Howard. Very little is known about his life. In fact, even his first name was doubted by many for years. The first mention of the man is in the land records dated September 20th, 1848, when he and his wife purchased 160 acres of land from a John H. Foster and his wife Nancy for the sum of that day, $640. The census of the time says that Howard was 34 years old and born in New York. His occupation was that of a farmer, and with his wife Eugene, age 36, and their 5-year-old son Frederick B., they were also accompanied by a 17-year-old German servant girl named Anselina. By 1846, it marked many of the first appearance of immigrants to the Sheboygan area. Before that, many of the land belonged to the Indian tribes. You can find many of these Indian villages stretched out all across the Sheboygan area, including the lands and areas of the Herman Township. For a time, Howard's Grove was two separate villages. You had Howard's Grove and right next to it, Millersville. It wasn't until 1967 that these two would unite into one village and township.
Back toward the end. And folded over each
Having
other.
a servant girl in and of itself
the
showed that
thickly
even
whittled
for
down
Howard
upon
being
the
a
map.
farmer by trade, he was well off financially. The last mention of H.B. Howard is that of a land record where he sold one of his three brothers' land to a Henry Dreyer for the tune of $400 on March 28, 1858. No other record of the time is found of him. The only mention of a connection to his family is that of his son, Frederick B. Howard, who served in the 17th Wisconsin Infantry during the Civil War. It seems that the only legacy of the man is the name of the town that he is named after, and everything else has faded in time. Before the Howard's Grove School District was the district we know today, its origin is that of the Millersville School District that was organized in 1848 when an E.W. Schlittling decided to have a meeting with his neighbors to set up their district to educate their children. Many of the early school sessions were held in a small building which was built on the estate of a Charles Oatland. It wasn't until 1948, due to a large enrollment, the rural schools would change into the state-graded schools that we know today. By 1959, school districts were consolidating, and by 1972, the Millersville School District ceased to be. The village converted the building into their village hall. The first schoolhouse in Howard's Grove was built in 1870 when a Mr. Hallbark donated a piece of land for the school to be built. Until the schoolhouse was built, classes were held in Liars Hall, which was the center of the village. Mr. Lutenhauser was the first male teacher, followed by the first female teacher, Mrs. Ernstbach. School was taught in the English language for 7 months and in the German language for 2 months. A fire destroyed the original building in 1884, but a new brick building was constructed at the price of $600, which is found west of the present-day State Highway 32. By 1957, a town's meeting was held, and the electors had decided to unite all 7 districts into a single district. The plan was to design and construct a new high school, which was done on a 40-acre lot north of the Howards Grove Grade School, and with an adjoining 30-acre park and athletic field. After 7 months of construction, the Howards Grove High School, commonly known as the middle school building today, opened its doors on December 1st, 1960, with the cornerstone ceremony. For 32 years, it served as the high school, but by 1992, with the growing community and the expansion of the necessary facilities, it created a referendum opportunity for a new facility. With a vote of 1,017 people against 646, the referendum was passed and the construction for a new high school would begin. The former high school would be altered into the middle school, and after months of construction, the new high school would be built and dedicated on August 24, 2001. Both with Northview, which was established in 1973, the middle school in 1960, and now the high school in 2001, the three schools of the town would be established. As historian and educator Elmer Koppelman writes about how the residents of Howards Grove throughout the years have valued their children's education, he says this: "Indeed, if anything stands out about the history of education in our village, it is the high premium that residents of our area have placed upon education throughout the years. Each generation has built upon the efforts of the preceding generation in an effort to give their children a quality education. The people of Howards Grove truly believe that a good education is not expensive, it is priceless."
Yeah, so I grew up in Howards Grove. It's been my home as long as I can remember. I have family that have gone through this whole district. I have gone through every single school in this district. I graduated in 2017. My older sister went through here. My younger sister did. I have cousins that went through here. I even have an aunt that went to this building, this middle school, when it was her high school back in the day. So my family has been very embedded in this whole community for quite some time.
Well, first of all, my name is Gary Kalk. My entire family history is from Howards Grove. They've all grown up and went to school at Howards Grove, so my grandparents, my parents, all my siblings, so we have been lifelong kind of Howards Grove residents.
Sure. So I started teaching here in the Howards Grove School District in the fall of 2007, right after I got married, and I was hired at that point as the middle and high school choral and general music teacher for both buildings. So I actually traveled between the current middle school and the high school.
Yeah, this place is a real memorable place and will be for a long time for me, because my husband has family in Howards Grove, and we would go to parties and we'd be like, oh, that would be great to teach at this middle school or teach at this high school, and we never really got interviews. And then one day there was a job opening for a middle school part-time job, and I thought, oh, I'll go on this interview. And but before we went on the interview, interestingly enough, we went to a open house, and at this open house was the social studies teacher that was going to leave our district. So when I went on this interview for a math job, I knew that the social studies job was going to be open, and my husband happened to be a social studies teacher. So I went into the interview and it went well, and I really liked Howards Grove. And I also mentioned that my husband also teaches social studies, and voila, we got the job in 2000, and I am here since 2000, 25 years later. And my husband also was here for quite a long time, and it's a very special place because our kids went through this district, and it was a district that when we drove through the city, we really wanted to teach here. And we just thought it was a very nice community, and we both weren't from Howard's Grove, but we thought a small town atmosphere that we really liked that for our family, and we moved in, and we're still here 25 years later.
Absolutely. Well, my name is Jessica Lickey, or Mrs. Lickey as everybody knows me here. I'm the counselor here at the middle school right now. But I grew up in Howards Grove, actually. So I grew up over in the Stonebridge area and lived here pretty much my whole life except for college and all the things. And my husband also grew up here, and now our kids go to school here. So I have been here for a really long time, since I was about 4 years old. Went to school here, graduated here, and now I'm back as an employee.
My name is Shelley Milbrath, and both my families grew up in this area. My mother's family and my father's family. My mother's family was in Millersville, and my dad's family was on this side of town in Howards Grove. Not everybody knows there were two sides of town, but there are. Mm-hmm. So I've been here my entire life, aside from when I left for college.
I'm Tip Arts. I was a student in Howards Grove, graduated from Howards Grove High School, taught in this building as the middle school for 22 of my 26 years of teaching. Family moved here when I was in second grade, and I attended Mosel Lakeview, which is now out near Whistling Straits and is a dance school. Went there, and then my middle school experience was at Northview. That was our 3 through 8 building, and then I attended what is now the middle school as a high school student here, and graduated in 1990. So pretty much have lived in this area for the better part of my life.
My very first memory I can think of is getting my hand painted to go on the ceiling tile. I had an older sister and some older cousins that did it, and I thought that was the coolest thing as a kid when I was in elementary school, the fact that you get to get your hand painted and put it on a ceiling tile, and it's there forever, kind of like your imprint on the district. So I remember in 5th grade when we got to do that, we got to go in the art room. Mr. Hansen, the principal at the time, got to paint our hands, so it was like our first connection with him, being a 5th grade student in a new building and a new principal, and getting to put your handprint on the tile was such a cool thing as a kid.
Yeah, so like I indicated, my entire family did go to Howards Grove. Probably my first memory, though, being a middle school student, I graduated in the class of 1990 from Howards Grove, obviously. But my first experience at the middle school level was we were the class that actually brought back the school dances. Maybe it's not even the correct word to say is bring back. I think we probably were the ones that actually started it. So I remember being at Northview Elementary and decorating the gym there for our first school dance that we had. So that was kind of a neat experience to have the excitement of actually having a dance.
I mean, a lot of memories. I don't know if I have any super specific ones, but I have tons of family in the area. So all my cousins, well, not all of them, but a lot of my cousins went here. Step siblings, and my brother is quite a bit younger than me, but he went through school here as well. But memories, I just remember all the teachers that I had all through middle school. And one of my probably favorite teachers in middle school, probably because he was a little bit, he was very, very pointed and straightforward with me, which I loved, was Mr. Koppelman back in 5th grade. So, yeah.
Actually, both my parents graduated from this building as a high school. Myself and my 2 siblings graduated from this building as a high school. My first memories are when I was younger. I wasn't even in high school yet, and my father coached football, so we would come for all the games, and they would march down the side driveway with their cleats making that clicking sound. So some of my first memories of this building are when I went to football games across the street, because they played across the street. So
Nobody at the same time. My first memory of this building as the middle school was actually kind of in a roundabout way. I taught in Milwaukee Public Schools for 4 years, but my first memory of coming back to this actual building as a staff member was as an 8th grade teacher. I taught 8th grade for 1 year and then moved to 7th, and then was in 7th for quite a long time, and then Northview for a few years. I do have a younger brother. We were not in high school at the same time or in this building at the same time. The year after I graduated, he was here. So just the two of us, no cousins or any other relatives.
So when I think about the teachers that had such a big impact, there's three big ones that come to mind for me, and they're all music teachers that I had. So my very first music teacher in the middle school her name was Lois Finstead. She was my band teacher all through middle school. And then Angie Houston, who's now the principal at the middle school, but when I had her in middle school, she was my general music teacher. Then in high school, she was my band teacher. And then Zach Holzer, who is the choir teacher. I had him for both middle school and high school choir. Middle school was my first opening to loving music and having a big passion for that. And those teachers just kept...
Probably my 8th grade social studies teacher, his name was Pat Renzelman. He was an athletic director and also a football coach at Howards Grove. I really enjoyed being a student in his class, and when he would talk about the activities and the things that were going on at the high school, it kind of just made us feel like we were special at that time, and kind of wanted me to become a coach as well.
So the two principals that, or I should say the two administrators that I worked with and who hired me in 2007 had a profound impact, I would say. The first was Dr. John Eichholt, and at the time I was 27, and my interview was probably the worst interview that I've ever had in my life for a job, and I walked out of there thinking there is no way that they would hire me to teach children, much less work in their school district. However, I received the phone call, and they did hire me. And at the first meeting with Dr. Eichholt, Dr. John Eichholt, who was our superintendent, down in his office, he explained to me that I was going to be a very good fit in the school district of Howards Grove if I could fit in a box and come out slowly. So I still remember that to this day, and John, I'm still in that box, and I'm still coming out slowly, just in case you were wondering.
A humorous memory of the middle school. An administrator at one time, John Eichholt, I think he thought I was a student, and I happened to be going out of the school, getting ready to drive back to the high school, and as I was stepping out of the middle school, he kind of grabbed me rather quickly because I think he thought I was a student, and next thing I knew, it was up over his shoulder. We laughed, and then he realized it was me.
So Dr. Eichholt was our principal at the time, and I went on an interview with him and Mr. Hindenburg, who was the high school principal, and it was funny because they were very nice gentlemen, and I enjoyed their conversation, and we had a good conversation. And then later on, I find out that Dr. Eichholt can be a little bit scary, and but he is not. It was a joy to work for. I'm so thankful that he was a principal and that I was here at the same time. But it was always kind of a funny joke because they said, "Oh, he can tend to be a little scary." And had I known that going into the interview, I might have been a little nervous, but I wasn't. And he is a great guy, and I see him on the golf course, and he says hello, and so that was fun to work under a principal that was very friendly, but he also had very high standards for kids, which I really appreciated.
The other person who I think about almost on a daily basis is Mr. Andy Hansen. Mr. Hansen has helped me as an educator, because I was a very young educator coming in. I had just 3 years experience, and this is my second school system. He helped me to manage classrooms, how to become at least a little more organized than I was, and I truly appreciate the way that he dealt with kids and students with behavior problems. He would really try to get to the root of the problem, and he tried to find the good in everybody. So I do the same. We have to find the good in all of our students and move past that.
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to work for a lot of administrators here in the school district. I think about each one of them kind of had an impact on me in a different way. John Eichholt, reminded me of structure and routine and policy and process. He was very regimented, which I think is important. When I think about Andy Hansen as the middle school principal, He was more of the nurturer, the caring, the taking care of people, and how important that is. And our students are our most valuable asset. But then most recently, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Shannon Kilton. I was very fortunate to be hired as an internal candidate as part of the school district. I'm grateful for her leadership style and that she's allowed me to learn and grow and really become the administrator that I wanted to be. Now, of course, we all want to learn more and grow more, but she kind of set up that opportunity for me, and I'll be grateful for that as well.
Awesome.
I would say Rose Ellinger. She was our business teacher at the time, and she really was. She was at the forefront of getting computers and word processors, because I graduated in 1986. So my high school time, we got like some of the first computers to do word processing on. And I was an FBLA at the time, and she was our advisor, and she was just an amazing teacher who really wanted to, make things better for students here.
The healer, Linda, just always believed that her students had the best in them, and she was going to pull that out no matter what. She just really cared and wanted to make sure that every student achieved. And then I actually got to work with Linda as a colleague teaching as well. And then I see a lot of Mrs. Healer's care for students in another colleague that I had who still currently works here, and that would be Mrs. Gina Holla.
Yeah, so as a student, back when we could start taking choir, I was always a choir kid. So starting in middle school really kind of honed in on my passion for doing all of that. So choir was definitely a memory for me. The sports in middle school I always loved. When I was going through middle school, my dad was one of my coaches for a team that we had for basketball. So that was always a lot of fun as well. And then working here for this is my 10th year in this district. And it's really cool to kind of see full circle the people that were once your teachers and now are your colleagues, and then seeing friends that you went to school with and they have kids now coming through the district. So everything's just very, very full circle. So it's been a really, really great experience for me from the beginning.
Awesome. Well, as you know, this is my 4th year in Howards Grove, and when I started as superintendent in Howards Grove, I had the unique opportunity to hire the entire team. So most people might look at that as overwhelming, to have to hire 3 principals, a business manager, tech director, and so on. But for me, it was super rewarding to be able to build the team right from the ground up and have all the administrators be, a part of our journey together. Sometimes when you get a superintendent job, you end up joining a team that's already been established, and I was lucky and fortunate to be able to hire the team. And then also an amazing thing, obviously, is passing the referendum in November of 2022. I joined the district after a failed referendum, and when I was hired, our school board initially right off the bat said we need to go back to referendum. We need a new middle school. Our middle school current building is failing, and we need a new building. So the work that I did the first year with the community and with our stakeholders really, and passing that referendum was a huge part of why that's such a rewarding place to work.
I think what's been the most rewarding is honestly you have a community here in Howards Grove that truly cares about the schooling and education as well as educational opportunities for our students. And sometimes, especially myself, come from larger districts, going to school in a larger district, that's often lost that it's singular focus on an individual student, individual family. But really here in Howards Grove, I feel the collective, that we're all in it together for the benefit of our students. That excites me each and every day, that knowing it's a team effort in regards to our community coming together, attending all of our different events, from athletics, extracurriculars, to our band concerts, musicals, graduation. Again, it shows that togetherness we have in this process. And that's pretty special, and that's what makes Howards Grove special, because you don't find it many other places.
As a student, my biggest memories that I can look back to is the handprint, the wetlands trip, the Greek Olympics, being able to be in band and choir for the first time, solo ensemble, 8th grade recognition, all my concerts here, being able to go to your first dance. That was a big deal as a middle school kid when I was here.
Yeah, this has been a very special building. My mother was one of the first students to go into this school. Riverview Elementary, the school that was across the street here, that's where my dad graduated from high school. So my mother, I think she was a sophomore or a junior when this place was actually started. And I remember her telling me that the stairways for the gym was there, but the gym itself wasn't actually put into place yet. So this building has been added on a number of times, with adding on the gym at that point and then adding on a few classrooms in both directions of this building. Being a student here, I remember walking the hallowed halls here of Howards Grove High School, and then becoming a teacher here was kind of a special experience too, to be working with the teachers that I actually had as teachers themselves. So I was a co-worker with them, just walking down the halls and sitting in some of the classrooms, remembering that this room was my German room, and this was also, because this room's been kind of expanded a little bit. It was 2 classrooms made into one, but one was my German room and then one was my math room. So it's just kind of neat being in this building and kind of all of a sudden having a flashback, like, oh, I remember when that was the biology room, or that was the health room. Yeah, kind of a neat experience. I think what's really been cool about this has been building the relationships, though, with kids, with the staff that I work with. Just a lot of memories of a lot of the teachers that have come through here.
So I was fortunate to be in 2 different classrooms at the middle school. One of them was obviously the current choir room, which is down the ramp across from the band room. The other one was the classroom that is above the ramp, which used to be an old 6th grade room. I have a couple memories that I would take the old TV on a cart and ride that down the ramp. And I do believe Angie Houston and I did that one day together, and I think we got in a little bit of trouble from one of the administrators at the time. I couldn't remember who, but I know that was, anytime we had used that TV, it was a race to see who could go down the fastest.
As you leave it.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, kids always ask me, what is my feelings about leaving, and I always say it's bittersweet. Certainly, I've been in this building, and not in every room or the same room for 25 years. But then when I go tour the new high school, the new middle school, it's so wonderful. So I'm excited to do that as well. But so many memories of spring fling activities where kids are doing all different activities, and the one that I will always remember is the basketball game with students against teachers, and kids get so excited to do those different activities. I also, all the many basketball teams that I have coached, I will remember all of them.
In general, for me, generations have gone through this building. Personally, being someone who was involved in music, athletics, and all kinds of things when I went through, like, those memories will be, it's sentimental to come through here. The games you played, the musicals you were in, things like that. And as a teacher now, I'm seeing kids experience the same things, a different building, but yeah, those kinds of memories, those are awesome.
Well, I think, this building, to me, has always kind of been the hub of the community. I mean, the high school sits on the outskirts, Northview's kind of tucked away, but this is like front and center. And I just really think there is very much a family atmosphere here. And it's going to be really weird when this chapter closes and everything's on one campus at the high school for the most part, and driving past a green space here that as of right now doesn't have a definite future will just be odd to no longer see this here, because for over 60 years this building was a fixture of this community and, in my opinion, kind of the center of it.
Okay, here we go. So, what is your favorite memory at this building? We'll start.
My favorite memory is probably when we had the Greek Olympics in 6th grade and my homeroom took the win. Miss Hollow?
My favorite memory was when we did hide and seek with the student council like 2 years ago. My favorite memory is just eating lunch in the cafeteria every single day with my friends.
I think my favorite memory has to be either going to like my first dance ever in 5th grade, or starting to do like more bigger sports and activities.
I think my most favorite memory about the school was probably how like nice and detailed all the murals were, like just around, like spread out around the school, like the destinations like on the hall names. I love that.
Packing up all your things and moving over to our brand new building, which is attached to the high school. And I think having the state-of-art facilities connected to our high school, allowing for the collaboration between middle school and high school staff, and the shared spaces that our middle school students are now going to have access to in the high school, and our high school students having access to different facilities within the middle school, I think it's just going to create a real community feel for our students in 5th grade through 12th grade, and I just think it's going to bring a real family structure to our, our two schools here. In the way future, well beyond my time in Howards Grove, there is a discussion about bringing Northview over to the site. We do have land over here where Northview, and we could be a one-campus district. Now again, our taxpayers have given us tons of money to support our auditorium and our new middle school, so there's no deadline in sight for that, but it'll be nice at some point to be a one-campus district so that we're all together as one.
I think one of the things too is our investment in the community itself. Now obviously at the high school we always talk about students and graduation, but my biggest thing with graduation is students having a plan once they finish their 4 years at Howards Grove High School. So what is their plan? Whether they're going off to a tech school, going off to the military, going to a 4-year college, going to a university, going into the workforce. So what I'm excited to see is what our partnership with the community, get more of our students out and about and ingrained in the different businesses and industry, and whether that's a job shadow, whether that's an internship, whether that's a youth apprenticeship placement, whatever that may be, helping our connection between our school and our community to invest our students within the community, and big picture, hopefully Howards Grove is a place that they stay big picture.
I think it's a really great opportunity for a new school. I think our students are going to be set up for success in new learning environments. Having the new furniture, the flexible opportunities, I think it's a real challenge, but I think it's also an exciting opportunity to see student learning grow, to meet the needs of the learners, hopefully decrease behaviors because of that awareness, and then, the sky's the limit for learning in the school district of Howards Grove.
I don't know. I'm not being it, but I think that one fun part about it would be just having like newer stuff. And like the new furniture.
In high school, I'm excited to go and meet new friends and new people.
Just more opportunities, more freedom, and just, hang out with friends more.
I'm excited to be in more musical stuff and, musicals, music, band, yeah.
Awesome.
I'm looking forward to doing more curriculum activities and having more ability to do way more stuff next year for like student council and maybe even any other activities.
I don't think they're gonna put more murals in for a new school, but if they do, that would be really nice, and hopefully we get new like seatings and stuff and like nicer like hopefully it's just like a nicer building, to be honest.